Folks, if you're watching this early, just know the reason that this isn't a full card breakdown and we're just getting the co-main event here is because we're waiting for the UFC to figure out some matches that they don't quite have figured out yet. There's some late replacements coming on this card, so here we are. I wanted to get something your way. So we've got Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev in the middleweight division. It's the co-main event for the UFC 308 pay-per-view. Now, in this matchup here, this is, I believe, a 5-round co-main event. Now, it's not for a title, but they've made it 5 rounds. They've done that before. They're doing it again. That is what the UFC kind of does, just to kind of add a little flash and flair to a co-main event that maybe isn't a title fight. No big deal. I think this is an interesting fight. I think the 5-round aspect of it does make it a little bit different, you know. So we're gonna break it down. Let's look at it. Khamzat Chimaev, he's 13-0 in the career, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He doesn't fight that often anymore. He came into the UFC fighting all the time. And now he doesn't fight so much. He's kind of gets sick. He can't really get out of, the Middle East area. So that's a problem. So it's kind of one of those things where he just doesn't have the opportunity to fight either because of his health or because he can't travel very well. I know that some people say that the traveling thing's a myth, but why haven't we seen him fight anywhere outside of the Middle East? There you go. He did once. I believe it was one time. And that was, after that, there was no luck again. So, either way, Robert Whittaker, 3-2 in the last 5. The dude's been around. He's been the champion before. His only losses are coming to championship level contenders or champions. He lost to Izzy and he lost to Drickus. Outside of that, no. So he's more or less the legitimate litmus test. If you can beat this guy, you can become champion because Robert Whittaker is that good. He is the guy that if you can beat Robert Whittaker, you can be the champion. If you can't beat Robert Whittaker, well, it's going to be tough because nobody gets to be champion without being able to beat Robert Whittaker. I take that back. Sean Strickland was champion. He's never fought Whittaker. But point is, champions go through Whittaker. That's what we've got here. So, in this matchup, we're going to start on the Khamzat Chimaev side. I believe he is probably going to get the consensus for being the better grappler here because this dude's grappling is excellent. Anybody that doesn't think that is forgetting because it's been too long. The way that this man can grapple, it's incredible. And sure, he gets tired sometimes. He outpaces himself. We're going to cover that more in a little bit. He does outpace himself. It's not that his cardio is necessarily bad, but the dude's just going 100 miles an hour from bell to bell. And his grappling is top tier. The way he was able to ragdoll some of these guys that he's fought, including Usman, in that first round where he just threw that man around. That Usman's wrestling pedigree is very, very high. And Chimaev made him look like he couldn't grapple. So there is that. His grappling is excellent. Takedown defense, you're not taking him down. His takedowns, excellent. He has some of the best timing on his entries. He keeps his neck safe when he does so, and he can chain his takedowns together, which not many people in the middleweight division can do all 3 of these things well. Time, chain, protect neck. Khamzat Chimaev does. In fact, I don't think there's a person at middleweight with better wrestling, and I don't think it's close. So Chimaev, by far, the wrestling standout for middleweight. He has solid top control, and he does a really good job of controlling his opponent's legs. Wrap him up with the leg lace, he'll wrap him up with the arms, and the reason that's so important is because it makes it so much harder for guys to create space from the bottom if they can't use their legs. A lot of these guys, they use too much just upper body to control their opponents on the mat. Not Khamzat Chimaev. This guy uses his legs really well to wrap up their legs, uses his arms to wrap up their legs. He uses the whole body to control the legs so his opponents can't start creating space, and then he starts to work. Usually it's very fast, but he does do that. He's got savage ground and pound, tons of volume, plenty of power, but his front chokes, these are a move that he can go to in defense or offensive positions because he'll use these front chokes either to defend takedowns, as we've seen him do before, or also he'll use these when he's just trying to, force something out of somebody. He'll start ground and pounding on him, and then he'll say, oh, great, they've turned just enough. Let's snatch up that Darce or whatever, or the Anaconda. Those are the 2 he likes to go to. And he's got an extremely tight squeeze. He scrambles extremely well. That sequence with him and Kevin Holland is short but fantastic to watch. Actually, it's longer than you think because it's just so much that you don't realize how much time ticks away until after you realize it was, not just like 10 seconds. It was quite a bit of time. But his scrambles are excellent. This dude's grappling is top tier. but he does get tired because he grapples at such a high pace. He fights at a high pace. Let's put it that way. So grappling top tier, pace can be a problem for him. Now, when we look at his striking, he's a solid striker. People are going to say he sucks at striking because he got into a slugfest with Gilbert Burns. I mean, Gilbert Burns is good. Just because he hasn't looked that good lately doesn't mean Gilbert Burns isn't good. Gilbert Burns is on a bit of a slump, lately. He's not been the best, but Khamzat Chimaev striking, very good. Definitely, I would say he has some skills that can help him out a lot in this matchup. First being the jab. He has a very nasty jab. When he sticks that out there, it's got power, it's clean, it's straight down the middle, very good. The power obviously goes in there. The 1-2 right into the takedown. That 1-2 is heavy. He commits to the punches and then goes to the takedown. It's not like he throws the punches like, and then goes to the takedown. That you see that a lot from wrestlers where they throw these like punches like this, where they're not really trying to punch. They're just trying to throw something to keep your eyes up here, and then they shoot the takedown. He's committing to his 1-2, just big heavy shots, and then he just shoots right through to get that takedown. And he does a good job with it. He can fight out of either stance, which we've seen southpaws give trouble to Robert Whittaker before. So Chimaev being able to fight from either stance is a bonus for him. And if he comes out southpaw, that could be something that really helps. He's got good movement on the feet. He's got a very good body kick. But again, he can outpace himself. This right here is going to be the biggest hurdle for Chimaev in a 5-round fight. If he outpaces himself and say we get 2-3 rounds deep, and this fight isn't over yet, Whittaker's going to be looking very, very live and probably going to win unless Chimaev has won the first, say, 3 rounds and can just hold on. But at the same time, that's really tough to do against a guy like the Reaper. So when we look at Robert Whittaker, he's a very solid striker. I would say he's the better striker here, and I don't think that's crazy to say. I do think Chimaev is a very good striker, but I think Robert Whittaker's the better striker. Here's why. First off, he's got great lateral movement. He's hard to corral on the feet. He's hard to just pin down, hard to keep stationary, all that good stuff. Stays light on his toes the entire time. And he does keep his hands low, but it's so he can defend takedowns with it. But he can also bring those strikes up at odd angles. He doesn't always keep his hands low, but most of the time. Most of the time his hands are down here. He's moving and using a lot of movement to set up his strikes. Very good from Robert Whittaker there, and I think he's going to have probably have better movement on the feet than Chimaev. Chimaev has more of that stalking pressure, whereas unless he's using it to dive in for a takedown. But Robert Whittaker is going to be lighter on the toes, moving around a little bit better, and I think that's going to help him out quite a bit. He's got very solid kicks, and that head kick that he has is extremely quick, and he sets it up with his strikes. He can throw that kick off of either leg, but the thing that makes it so deadly is most people don't see it coming, and he's getting it going off of the hands, and then boom, head kick, boom, 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 head kick. And he can just switch it up, whatever leg he needs to. Does a good job there. He has a good slipping counter style as well as a blitzing style. Now, he uses these two things kind of separately, right? The slipping counter is he'll get out of the way, he'll move his head. He's not blocked because his hands are low, so he has to slip these punches. He has to let these punches sail over the shoulder. That's kind of what a slip is. You can also slip back, but I prefer this style for the counter, which is what he's probably going to do because he needs to go in. If he pulls back against a guy like Chimaev, that's probably going to have another one coming behind it, and then the takedown, that's going to be a problem because it's going to be, if you pull back like this, it works against somebody that is looking to strike exclusively with you, yes, because if they're looking to throw 1-2 and you're just getting out of the way and then come back, cool. But with Chimaev, that's going to be a problem because he's going to go 1-2, and then as you're leaning back to get out of the way, he's going for your hips. And where are your hips going to go? You can't sprawl if you're already doing the limbo, you know what I mean? So that's not what Robert Whittaker's going to do here unless he wants to get taken down. What he's going to do is slip to the side and then slip to the side just like that. He's going to probably keep his hands low, actually, to defend takedowns, but he's going to go side, side, just like that. He's going to let those punches sail over the shoulder. He's going to use his shoulder probably to block the chin, and then he's going to strike back with his own strike. So slip and counter. That's what he's going to need to do here because the blitzing style that he has, although it works really well at times, he has struggled with guys throwing straight shots down the middle when he blitzes in, which is why he's open to counters when he does the blitz. He can use this blitz effectively if he can time it right. If he can say, slip and counter and land a couple shots on Chimaev and then time the blitz so that Chimaev is on his back foot or that he's already hurt him, of course, and then he can blitz in and just start landing his shots. That's what he needs to do here. He needs to use these two properly. I can see at some point, maybe in the first round, he tries to slip backwards and then try to counter, only to find himself getting taken down. He won't do that. I want to say more than once, but we'll say twice. He won't do that more than twice, just for the fact that sometimes old habits are hard to kill. But I could see him having to learn that on the fly and say, oh, yeah, that was dumb. Why did I do that? But it's just kind of an instinct, because a lot of strikers do like to go back instead of the side as their first instinct, especially because it makes it easy to throw your momentum forward after you've springboard off that back step. So either way, if he uses this properly, I think he's going to have some success with it. And then if he times his blitzes so that he doesn't get countered because has Chimaev either moving backwards or is rattled, then I think he can have success there. Now with the grappling, he's a solid grappler as well, but he's not going to be as good a grappler as Chimaev. So like I said, striking, Whittaker's probably better. Grappling, Chimaev's probably better. But the grappling for Whittaker, the good thing about this is he can mix in his own takedowns. I don't think he will here, but it's a change of pace type of thing. So if he needs a moment, it's not like he can't shoot a takedown knowing he's probably not going to get it. Just needs to protect his neck so he doesn't get in a Darce choke. But shoot the takedown to get Chimaev to have to stop the pressure and just kind of change that. It'll change the pace. That's what he needs to do. Then he can get back to using his lateral movement. He's really hard to control on the mat. So I think Chimaev's going to have to work pretty hard to control a guy like Robert Whittaker. He does a really good job of scooting to the cage, working his way back up, creating a scramble, doing what he needs to do. Extremely hard to control. Also, his sprawl, very good sprawl. And because his hands are low, he gets those underhooks right away and he can pull it right up to position, or he can use those hands to really shove the opponent down and then make his opponent pay for failing a takedown, which he does really well. He'll either go for the underhooks, pull them up, and then do what he needs to do there, or stuff very hard, and then as they're trying to get back up, boom, 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 send that barrage of shots. The blitz that we talked about comes right in here and right there. So where they fail the takedown, that's when he goes into blitz. Now, if he gets on top, he likes to get to the half guard and work his ground and pound from there. I don't imagine him getting on top of Khamzat Chimaev, especially early in the fight. Maybe like around 4, round 5 if we get there and we've got a very tired Chimaev. But if he gets on top, he has a very good half guard and he can work his ground and pound from there pretty well. Now, ultimately, when it comes down to this matchup, how do I see it going? Well, two very possible things. First off, I don't think Whittaker knocks out Chimaev in the first 2 rounds. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be Whittaker going in there and just destroying Chimaev out of the gate, unless we get a very different version of Chimaev. That said, I don't see Chimaev finishing Whittaker in rounds 4 or 5. Maybe not even 3. I don't even see him finishing in 3, 4, or 5. Because if Whittaker survives that long, we're going to decision or Whittaker's getting a late finish. So, decision, either guy could technically win. It's just who wins the mid points, right? Decision could go to either guy, but the early finish upside is on the Chimaev side because this dude's grappling is extremely tough to deal with in the first round. And although Whittaker is very good on the mat, this stuff is next level. The way he ragdolled Usman is incredible, guys. You need to go back and watch that if you haven't. That first round, the way he did that, not many people survived that round. Usman is a fantastic grappler. So, this is a close fight. It's a tougher fight than the line suggests. So I guess if you're just looking at the value on it, I would understand the Whittaker play, but I do think Chimaev is going to get it done. I think he's actually going to finish Robert Whittaker in the first couple of rounds. I think what he's going to do is pick him up, slam him down, do it a couple of times, land some heavy shots, and I think at some point he's going to land one of them front chokes and get the submission. So we're going to go with Khamzat Chimaev via submission in the first couple of rounds. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely, I could be wrong, and that's why we're here to debate it. So go down in the comments, tell me what you think. Who do you think is going to win? How do you think they're going to win? Why do you think that? Drop all that stuff down there. And if you enjoyed this, even if you disagree with my pick, hey, like the video. This was fun. We get to chat about this now. And if you had a good time, I had a good time. We can chat about it more in the comments. Like the video while you're down there. Share this with your friends. And then watch whatever else comes out for this card. I'll have a main event breakdown, probably separate from the full card, and then we'll do a full card breakdown, which is pretty much everything except for the co-main and main event, because here we go. So I'll see you guys there. Have a good time. We'll see you guys at UFC 308.